It is get you. It's your boy Tom back here with another video, and in this video today, guys, we're going to be taking a look at each and every one of the 10 new EVOs that are coming to NBA 2K24 MyTEAM today. Again, these are going to be your best budget cards in the entire game. In a game which I feel like we don't have a ton of budget cards, it is important to note, which of these cards are good, which are bad, how hard each of them is going to be for you guys to obtain, and then obviously if it is, worth it for you guys to try and try to get them and use them for your squad or not. So we've got 10 new ones. We're gonna start it off here with Kevon Looney, and as we dive into that, if you're new to the channel, make sure to smash that subscribe button. We are on the road towards 130,000 subscribers. Really do appreciate all of the recent support. Now for Kevon Looney, the second EVO requirement, it's not updated yet, but I don't mind his second EVO. Look at how much defense he truly does get. Look at that interior, perimeter, lateral quickness. All of those things are super important, combined with a ton of defensive badges as well. I mean, when I looked at Kevon Looney's last EVO, it was a card in which I was like, yikes. I mean, his defensive badges weren't that great. And if you look at his defensive stats, it was pretty gross. And so I said it for Kevon Looney. I was like, if this card's ever going to be useful, I mean, he's going to need a defensive EVO. And guess what? He got exactly that. A pretty solid defensive EVO. Interior to an 85. Lateral quickness goes up. And now you can play him at either that power forward or center position. Obviously, because he's only 6'9", I do think his best position is probably that power forward position. Still shooting the ball, not going to be great. But Looney Tunes can play in my team. He went from a card that I was like, oh, this card probably can definitely not play for you guys, to now, I mean, you can use Kevon Looney and have a lot of success with the card. Josh Okogie up next gets to an amethyst. Now, it's a pretty big deal because at a ruby, he was fine. Not great, but he was fine. I feel like, again, a usable card for you and your specific squad. The problem for me with Josh Okogie is he's only 6'4", and his release isn't necessarily the best. Now, I like his dribble style. D-Book dribble style does some things for you. Now, at this final tier, you guys can see the lateral quickness go way up, the driving depth go way up, as well as the steal go up a little bit. Gets Hall of Fame fast twitch, Hall of Fame off-ball pets, so gets a couple of those Hall of Fame badges. I'd still like to see his clamps somewhere above that silver. I mean, silver is fine, but I would like to see it a little bit higher. Playmaker-wise, obviously solid. Shooting-wise, solid. Okogie at an amethyst tier is really actually pretty solid. The only thing for me that I wish is I just wish he I wish he was a little bit taller. And I know that might be like, what, Ty? Really? Like he's tall enough? Well, I just wish he was a little bit taller. 6'4", I know he's got a good wingspan, got a good frame. I just wish he was a little bit taller so I could use him a little bit more. But I like his badge, kind of like the D-Book dribble style. His release is going to be fine. He's going to be usable. Again, undersized. You know what you're getting with Josh Okogie. There's not going to be any surprise factor with the card. Is he solid? Yes. Is he a card I'd pick up in EVO? Probably not. I mean, again, we got a lot of good shooting guards as well, so I don't really think you need him. And another card that needs blocks. Blocks are not easy to get at all when it comes to EVOs. I mean, maybe for Josh Okogie, it'll be easier than Bennedict Mathurin, but trust me, blocks are not easy. Amen Thompson up next. His EVO is super easy. All you got to do is get assists. And the nice part about it is you continue to see that 3-ball improve. The first EVO, it went to that 69. Next EVO goes to a 73. And you guys can see his defense continues to improve. Gets that 92 lateral quickness. I think people are sleeping on Amen Thompson a ton in my team just because I don't see a ton of people talking about him. And I personally think the card is really, really solid. Defensive badges, solid enough. Playmaker-wise, solid. He's going to be able to shoot the ball. Great speed. Card is fine at that shooting guard position. I mean, again, yes, the 3-ball is still a little bit low for not only my liking, but for a lot of people's liking. And I feel like, yes, that does indeed matter when it comes down to it. But at the end of the day, for me, when I'm looking at Amen Thompson, this card can play. And so let's say you are a big Houston Rockets fan you can 100% use Amen Thompson and have a lot of success with the card. I mean, am I going to ever personally run Amen Thompson? I don't know, probably not. I mean, again, his Evo is super easy to do, but is it a card that, you know, I'm personally probably going to Evo? Probably not, but that's not me saying you guys can't. If you do Evo Amen Thompson, you get a solid enough shooting guard, especially for a budget baller in my team. Joe Val up next. I really hated his Evo to a Ruby because it did nothing for the card. When you evo him to an Ami, big thing that I see, 3-ball goes up to an 83, gets Hall of Fame post spin technician. More importantly, gold catch and shoot, claymore, and corner specialist. When you looked at this card at a sapphire, I mean, yeah, his defense was fine, not great. Shooting wise was fine, not great. And so my personal opinion when I was like, okay, well, one of those two things are gonna need to change. Either he's gonna need to become way better shooting or way better defensively, and 2K decided, you know what, we'll make him way better shooting. Now, when I look at his Evos, I mean, sure, there are some blocks in here, but they shouldn't be that hard with Joe Val. I don't hate this Evo. I don't think it's going to be super impossible to get done. Like, you know, Bennedict Mathurin's is pretty hard. I don't think for Joe Val it should be as hard. Does get Hall of Fame Pro Spin Technician and Brick Wall. Sure would like to see some more defensive upgrades because when I look at his defense, I mean, to me personally, there's not much of an improvement from the Emerald to all the way up to, you know, where he gets the best at the Ami tier. That's kind of the big problem for me. I don't see much defensive improvement from, you know, the Sapphire tier to the Ami tier, and that's a big kind of red flag for me. The Brick Wall is nice, is important because there aren't that many cards with Hall of Fame Brick Wall. If you're looking for a budget big in my team, Joe Val is going to be really solid. Again, I would like to see his acceleration vertical, his defense be a little bit better, but you're not going to get everything with Jonas Valanciunas. 2K has proven that over and over again. They're not going to make Joe Val the best card in the game, so we just got to suck it up and use a card. He's a stretch big. I don't mind his release. He should be chicken. You shouldn't miss with the card. Has a good player model, good player build, and the Hall of Fame Brick Wall is super important. I don't want to sit here and act like that's a useless badge, because that badge is super important when it comes down to, you know, some great badges for budget bigs in my team. I like Joe Val's Evo. I do, because they gave him the 1 out of 2 that I was hoping for. I would rather have it be defense, but they gave him shooting. But at least he got Hall of Fame Brick Wall, which is a really nice badge. Malik Monk up next, still defensively, all the way evoed up, has no defensive badges. I'm sorry, 2K, but I'm not ever going to use a card with no defensive badges. It's just not going to happen. And so sure, people might be like, well, Ty, Malik Monk does this, Malik Monk does that, Malik Monk can play make, Malik Monk can dunk, Malik Monk can shoot. I get all of that, but if you're gonna have no defensive badges, if you're gonna be a 6'3" shooting guard, I just don't know how I'm supposed to sit here and hype you up. I mean, I know there's some people that are going to sit there and hype up Malik Monk, and if you want to run the card, that's fine. For me, he's undersized. I know he's got some good shooting badges, stuff like that. I just don't see it with Malik Monk. He's so undersized. It's not like he's got the best dribble style in the game. It's pretty mediocre, pretty mid. I just am not a big Malik Monk stan in my team, and if you guys are, that's perfectly fine. Use Malik Monk, have some success with him. For me, I just think there are way better cards, especially even when we come to these budget Evos, than Malik Monk. He's fine. You can use him. I just think you are going to be really disappointed and really let down if you do end up, you know, Evoing this card all the way up and just realize, you know, his defense still leaves a ton to be desired. Gary Trent Jr. up next. I'm not going to spend a ton of time talking about him. Release isn't very good, and obviously his defense isn't good. Raptors had a chance to win the game last night in a game they lost, and Gary Trent Jr. had clown feet and stepped on the end line. But still, I mean, Gary Trent Jr. is fine. Again, not a card I hate, but just I don't necessarily see it with Gary Trent Jr. in general. Now for Bennedict Mathurin, here's the problem. This second Evo, is it impossible? No, it's possible, but it is going to take you super long to get these 5 bucks. To put it in retrospect, I've been working on it for a long time, and I'm grinding, you know, the Spotlight Challenge, or not the Spotlight, I'm grinding the challenge with Tim Legler, trying to get it done. It's just not easy to do. Now, when he is Evo'd all the way up to a diamond, Bennedict Mathurin is elite. He's elite. There's no if, no ands, no buts about it. When you evo him to that Ami tier, he is elite. Now, the one thing I want you guys to consider is his defense still leaves something to be desired. He's not perfect, can't get clamps, leaves something to be desired. But you're looking at a card with Hall of Fame catch, shoot, quarter specialist, Deadeye, midi magician, and a slippery off ball. Having all of those badges is crazy. It is super helpful for a guy like Bennedict Mathurin, who, I mean, look, he's got a pretty quick release, and I mean, you should be able to knock down shots with him. Now, for me, again, it still lacks a little defensively, but he's 6'5", decent frame. Not a card I necessarily think is going to be to the level of Jared Vanderbilt, but pretty close. For 14,000 MT at the shooting guard position, Bennedict Mathurin is a steal. The problem is you got to get the 5 blocks with him for that second Evo, which is going to be super hard to get done. This Evo in general, again, the third Evo is super easy. The 22 threes is not super difficult. And so let's say, you know, you've already got somehow the blocks done. Well, you've got yourself a gem in Bennedict Mathurin. Again, I've been working on this Evo for a long time. I've got 1 block, so I mean, I know it's not impossible, but I'm telling you guys, it is not easy to get blocks with Bennedict Mathurin for that second Evo. So just kind of fair warning, eventually I will get the gameplay out for you guys, and we'll see what Bennedict Mathurin is like at that diamond tier. But man, these blocks, super tough to get done. Bennedict Mathurin, absolutely elite. Wendell Carter Jr. up next. I gotta say, I'm excited to look at this card because I think he has so much potential. Okay, now at the Ruby, this is what he looked like. I said it plenty of times. I need to see a little more defense out of the card. And if I saw a little more defense, I would probably hype the card up quite a bit. Because, I mean, again, when I look at the 3-ball, when I look at other things, I think the card has a ton of potential. Now, when you look at this, gets 2 Hall of Famers, vertical goes up, strength goes up, interior goes up, lateral quickness goes up. His last Evo is really good, okay? Not gonna sit there and sugarcoat things. It's good. This last Evo is elite. Defensively gets that Hall of Fame brick wall similar to Joe Val. Is he better side by side than Jonas Valanciunas? That's a question people are gonna ask me. And if you have to pick one, who would I pick? Well, let's talk about it. I feel like for Wendell, he's gonna move a little bit quicker. Might not, and this isn't necessarily a downside, might not compete as well, on the interior compared to like a guy like Jovel, but movement-wise should be better. So let's compare them because they both do get to that amethyst tier. Here's what you're looking at. Jovel has more total badges. Again, speed-wise, is gonna go to Wendell. No real surprise there. Whereas if you're looking at strength, stuff like that, Wendell even has that. To me, Wendell is better than Jonas Valanciunas. I really think so. The one thing Joval does have, and again, it's whatever you want. Joval is going to be an inch taller. So, I mean, Joval's an inch taller. Joval's probably going to shoot the ball better. So, it really is just preference based between Joval. But Wendell as an amethyst is really solid. If you are just starting the game today, Wendell Carter Jr. is a guy that I don't want to say like he's a must-have, but his Evo is all rebounds. The last one's blocks, assists, and rebounds, as well as 27 points all in a single game. So his Evo before that last one was relatively easy. The last Evo obviously is more difficult, but I like Wendell Carter Jr. I got nothing really bad I can say about this card. He can compete on the interior, can knock down shots. His speed isn't horrible. I can't really say anything bad about Wendell Carter Jr. Next up, guys, we do see Josh Hart. Not going to spend a ton of time talking about him. Undersized. He is going to play a ton of defense. So, I mean, I'm not going to spend a ton of time talking about him because I don't think he's super complete as far as shooting the ball. Undersized, but defensively, he is going to get you stops. Problem is only 6'4". He's basically a worse version of Josh Okogie. That's the way I think about him. Some people might like him more than Josh Okogie, but I feel like those are all just Knicks fans. If you like him more than Okogie, I just don't really think you really know what you're talking about, to be honest. And that's not me being mean, it's just me being honest. Last, certainly not least, Bobby Portis. His Evo really is not super difficult all the way through. Now, his last Evo, you're going to see, defensively gets a ton better. Interior goes up 3. Super important. Strength goes up a ton. Vertical goes up a ton. And rebounding wise, let's see, gets a little bit better as far as offensive rebounding. Now, another card with the Hall of Fame brick wall. He has gold rebound chaser, which I would say for a big man is a need. And even shooting wise, he's already elite and he gets the Hall of Fame masher. This is your best budget big in the entire game that can play the center position. Like, even compare him to like a Joval compared to a Wendell, Bobby Portis is better. So if you want a budget big, a guy to grind out, Bobby Portis Jr. is definitely the guy I'd recommend grinding out, especially with that release. So how I'd rank these: Bennedict Mathurin and Bobby Portis Jr. Then you got the level of a guy like Wendell, Joval. Those are your top 4 as far as these EVOs. Gary Trent Jr., Malik Monk, those are your worst guys. The other guys, somewhere in the middle. Drop a like on the video, guys. Subscribe if you're new, and as always, man, I love you guys. Have a blessed day.